Question: how do you increase your revenue? Hi, this is David Canigliaro. I help small businesses and medium-sized companies increase sales revenues for them and their families. Today I want to talk to you about something that's near and dear to all of our hearts, and that is making money, earning money, making a living. The average income in the United States, a minimum wage, is $7.25 an hour. The highest paid employee in the United States last year, Tim Cook from Apple, brought in nearly $378 million last year. So basically you have the minimum wage worker in the United States making $7.25 an hour to $140,000 an hour, the highest paid employee. That's what we call a very long ladder. Question I sometimes get is, how do I increase my sales revenue? David, how would I 10x my income? Well, I think the answer's pretty simple. Like, for example, let's say you work at Home Depot. And for argument's sake, let's say the guy at Home Depot makes $15 an hour. Now, he works at Home Depot making $15 an hour, but the surgeon that works at the hospital may make $3,000 an hour. Now what's the difference? I mean, they both work with tools, right? But the difference is the severity of the occupation, where lives truly hang in the balance. Now, the severity of the occupation really determines the pay scale here. Now, I'm not saying that the Home Depot employee is not extremely valuable. He is, or she is. That's not what I'm saying at all. But let's say you come up and you say, well, how do I increase my income? How would I even double it? Let's say forget 10xing my income. Forget going from $15 an hour to $150 an hour. How would I just go from, like, let's say $7.25 to almost $15 an hour? Well, when I was a kid, I worked at McDonald's. I remember as a teenager, I think I was 14 years old. And back in those days, they paid $5 an hour. That was the minimum wage. Well, I found out very quickly, it was probably my second day there, that they gave me a raise just for whistling while I took out the trash, right? Or smiling at customers when they would come in, and they say, hey, this guy's a team player. I think, in the first week or two, I think they increased my pay like $2 an hour. All right, so your attitude and your enthusiasm can go a very long way. That's number one, okay? Attitude and enthusiasm. Second thing about this whole deal is, how do I increase my income? Would be dominating the language that you speak. We're speaking English, I speak English. Dominate the language that you do speak. What I mean is, have great diction over the English language or whatever language you do speak. Learn the etymology of words, and what you'll find is people will want to hear what you have to say because you're engaging. You understand. You sound as if you know what you're talking about. So naturally, you're going to draw an audience towards you, and people will see they'll find you they'll see a leader in you. A leader will emerge in you. Third thing I want to talk about before this video is over is goals. Writing down your goals is critical, or you can download an app on your phone. I'm a big fan of writing things down on paper myself, and then you can transfer all that to your app if you want later. Writing your goals down is critical. For example, I recommend everybody do a 10-year goal plan and write out a list of 1 to 50. And you're thinking, wow, 50? I'm not going to be able to come up with 50. I might be able to come up with 10 or 12. I'm not going to come up with 50. No, what I mean is, if you had no limits and there was no limit imposed on you to what you could accomplish in 10 years, write those goals down. Goal number 1 is going to be the foundational goal. And what I mean is, the more rock solid goal number 1 is, the easier the transition from goal number 2, 3, 4, and 5. For example, if you say, I want my number 1 goal is I want to be a millionaire. And let's say you get to goal number 2 and you say, but I also want to sleep till noon. Okay, that doesn't really work that way, okay? So goal number 1 in a rock solid foundational goal would go something like this. Goal number 1 is, you might say, I want to be a man after God's own heart. And then you get into goal number 2 that follows from goal number 1. And in so doing, I'm going to love my wife and my kids this way. or I'm going to build a community this way, or structure my business that way. Let's say maybe you want to learn a new language in the next 10 years. Maybe you want to learn how to play the guitar. Maybe you want to skydive. Maybe you want to be adventurous. Whatever it is, write those goals down. And then one of the exercises that it's going to take about 25 minutes. One of the exercises that I have our clients do is put a number next to the goal. What I mean is, if you think it's going to take you 3 years to achieve that, put the number 3. If you think it's going to take 5 years, put 5. If you think it's going to take you longer than 10 years, put 10 plus. But whatever it is, do it, and do it now. This is critical. This is critical. If you want to increase your income, you do these 2 things, and I promise you, it'll change your life. That's it. We're out of time.